Eagle, proud symbol of our country, keep on flying high up above, and together we will stand and we'll restore the land. Oh, Eagle, keep on flying, Eagle.
Welcome back to Listen to the Eagle. We are live in Jackson, Mississippi. I'm your host, Landon Moore. Got Mr. Paul Ott on the line with us. Y'all call us in and tell us all kind of different stories tonight. Like I said, anything from planting food plots to hunting safety to anything that's going on outdoors. We'll talk about it all tonight. We got a kind of wide open show. It's Mr. Paul Ott's birthday. Y'all call in just to tell him happy birthday and hello. And we've got a caller right now, Mr. Paul. We're going to go to Mr. David in Yazoo City. How you doing, Mr. David?
Doing fine, doing fine.
Great. What you calling about tonight?
High fences.
How many
are there in Mississippi? And I've always had the question that when you confine a deer herd to a high fence, while you can manage the deer a lot better, it would seem to be that after a fairly long period of time, you've got to have some genetic crossover. The old saying that the tree doesn't fork.
Right.
I would think that would create a genetically inferior deer, but nobody seems to know how to answer that question. What do y'all think?
I don't know, Mr. David. I've never really thought of it that way, and especially because your does you can't tell really one doe from another. Whereas your bucks you can kind of, watch them and tell them from one year to the next. And that this one, after seeing the way his horns grow, you can kind of tell that he's off old split fork or whatever, and kind of keep track of it that way. But I don't really know enough about the high fencing deal to really comment on that. It makes a lot of sense what you're saying. We can have, the Mississippi Game and Fish, if somebody's listening with them, they can call and answer that for us. I'd love to hear. Or and they'll be on next week, right? Or we can get you an answer for next week. But
that'd be great.
But if you'll just listen in, Mr. Paul, do you know anything about that?
No, I know there's been quite a controversy, Lennon, about the high fences. That was a pretty hot topic not too long ago when we had them on. Nobody wanted to much talk about that high fence.
Well, and it's funny that Mr. David's calling in about this, because I've not been hog hunting, with dogs in a while, a couple years, and I used to go pretty regular with my buddies, and we actually went this past weekend. We caught 2 hogs and had a good time, and got to introduce 2 young kids that had never been any kind of dog running, hunting like that into it. One of them actually was from Texas, and so he's never been around anything like that. And he absolutely had a blast. And then, of course, my little brother-in-law was right up beside me, and he had never gotten to do anything like that. And while we were hunting, the subject came up about there used to be a guy in Centerville, Bucky Darden, and he's been around for years and big time hog hunter. They used to have a hog pen. And he would raise, wild hogs in there to start his young dogs, start his puppies. And I know my dad, he goes to a rabbit pen pretty regular in the off season just to run his young dogs and his puppies and all. And they said now that it is illegal. You can't have a hog pen. That you can have a hog trap, but it has to be confined to so many feet. It's really small, but yet you can still have a deer pen. And so if you have hogs inside that deer pen, that's not illegal. But I don't really know. It's almost like if it's called a hog pen, then it's not illegal, or that it's illegal. But I don't know the whole deal about that, Mr. David.
Well, the whole purpose of a high fence is to manage the deer herd, but also to keep the hogs out.
Right. Well, I know my buddy Slade Priest and them, that they have, a high fence on Tatum Plantation and have had it for a lot of years. But I'm going to tell you right now, they say that the hogs come and go as they please. I mean, they are constantly having to repair and do work on their fence because the hogs just find a way in there. But I guess when you're I'm sure they feed a lot of protein feed and corn and things like that to keep the deer, healthy and keep a good food source coming. But as well as the next person that Hall's going to find the food source. If they can figure out a way to get to it, they're going to get there.
I'd like to see one climb an 8-foot fence.
Well, these aren't climbing it, actually. These are going.
I know you're joking.
Right? No, I'm serious though. They're not climbing, but they are actually rooting under it and finding weak spots in it and tearing it. I don't know what all, but I know that there have been spots where they've went under it and dug holes and things to get in and out. But yeah, it's just a mess, and they're steadily getting worse. Seems like.
Yeah.
How are the hog population and up there where you're at, Yazoo City area? How is it up that way?
It's overwhelming.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We I know that it's where me and Mr. Paul are. It's horrible. I mean, I've literally planted food plots before and drug over them. They're so nice and pretty, and the grass get up, half inch, to an inch tall. And it literally looked like you went back through there with an offset disc. They just have just absolutely ruined it.
Well, I'm gonna tell you.
I appreciate it. I'll be listening next week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Give us a listen next week, and we'll try to get an answer for you. And Mr. Paul, that's just I don't know how to answer something like that because like I say, it would be like a tree doesn't fork. How do you keep the line of the bloodline? But then also at the same time, I know that you've got to take out a certain number of does, just as well as you do bucks. When you have to manage it just like you do anything else.
Yeah, they say those hogs reproduce faster than rabbits. But we did a show not long ago. Bert and I, Jim will remember, where they had these airplanes. They'd go down and shoot them hogs from the airplane, helicopter.
I've actually seen that on YouTube and things, them flying over and shooting them. My buddy Logan Campbell that was hunting with us this weekend, he's I guess Logan has been hog hunting longer than anybody I've known. I'm 31. I'm gonna say Logan's 29, and I'm gonna say Logan's been hog hunting since he was about 10 years old, if I had to guess. And I mean he absolutely lives and breathes it. And he told me, he said it's very obvious when we have good crops of acorns, versus years that we don't. He said by the number of little piglets that these deer will have. And so it's he said that this year that there's been, since we didn't have much winter last year, we've got to add a lot more acorns and a lot more vegetation than what we normally do. And so that the pig numbers have actually been up this year. So we've got a caller, Mr. Steve in Picayune. How you doing tonight, Mr. Steve?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Let me go ahead and tell you, we don't have but about a minute before we go to break. But if you want to make your statement or ask your question, and we'll come back to you right after the break to touch back base on it.
All right. Well, I'm just going to tell you a story. It's going to take about a minute.
All right.
I went hunting one time and I killed a deer a day before.
Uh-huh.
And my brother went out there and got the hoof after I'd done skint that deer out.
Yes, sir.
And went out in the garden. And he took that old hoof and he was putting tracks all up in the garden I had there.
Right.
And I thought there was a deer coming up in my garden, and I sat there just about all day, and they were sitting back there laughing at me.
Yeah, I might have done something similar to that with a turkey foot one time. I went in on a tract of woods that I think everybody in the community was hunting along with me, and I killed a turkey. And I made sure I didn't leave no tracks, but I left a bunch of turkey tracks up and down that road, so I kept them homed in on that area for a while. But we got to go to break. Y'all give us a call at 1-800-251-5891 or pound 444 if you cease fire like we are. Thank you, Mr. Steve. Y'all stay with us.
Legendary entertainer Paul Ott brings you his greatest hits. Get them all in this special CD-DVD combo set, including Old Blue,
Many and a many of an early morn.
I Am Mississippi,
I am everything good you have ever dreamed about.
Right Arm of America, and many more. To order, visit listentotheeagle.com or send $20 check or money order to Paul Ott's Greatest Hits, Box 219, Summit, Mississippi 39666.
Welcome back to Listen to the Eagle. We're live in Jackson, Mississippi. We got a few callers calling in tonight, but y'all call in and tell us a funny hunting story or something that's been going on around the place. It's food plot planting time, and we're going to talk about hunter safety tonight. We're going to talk about anything and everything in the outdoors. Ain't that right, Mr. Paul?
That's exactly right. And the funny story I got was I heard that deer like salt. You know what I'm saying?
Sure,
so
they do.
when I planted my food plot, I put salt on it, and there went the food plot.
Oh boy, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. I got the bright idea. We was going to put salt one time on our principal's on his yard out by the road. He's a big Ole Miss fan. We was going to put LSU and salt in a little old spot there, and we thought it'd be real funny. It'd be snow white salt. But we didn't take into consideration it was going to kill the grass in that spot. So he was a LSU fan for about a year and a half, even though he didn't want to be.
No, bless his heart.
But we got a caller calling from Jackson, right here in Jackson, Mississippi, Mr. Hank. What about it, Mr. Hank?
Hey, what'd you say, man? How
Oh, man, if we was any better, we'd be wearing sandals and healing the blind.
I don't know how funny this one is, but the best hunting day I had in my life.
Okay, I'm ready to hear it.
I was growing up, and they always made me the dog driver down at Homachita.
There you go. Yep.
And one day they said, you just go out there and get on a stand. So I went out there and I found me a big old oak tree, and I leaned up against it and fell asleep.
Oh, boy.
And all of a sudden I heard the dog strike down there. And so I woke up, and here comes a doe with a fawn, with a spotted fawn.
Right.
And she ran up there and she bleeped at him. And it ran up and laid neck about 10 feet from me.
Oh, wow.
And she went down back in the bottom and ran about 3 circles and took the dogs with her.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
And I sat there for about 45 minutes to an hour and looked at that fawn. And about an hour later, she came back and she went up there and she bleeped again, and that fawn ran down there and went with her.
Wow, are you serious? So she threw the old doe threw the dogs off and came back and got that baby.
She threw the dogs.
Oh, wow.
That's exactly what she did.
That's awesome. Well, I'm gonna tell you, I've been a dog man all my life. I grew up running dogs, and there's way more people out there that can't stand it than what it is that people that loved it. But you just don't know how much that story meant to me, because I absolutely used to love running my dogs. And
it was a beautiful thing.
It was a beautiful thing.
Anything that day.
And trying to describe that feeling and that sound to somebody that has never been a part of the fellowship and the love and the passion that we shared, and for trying to explain that is like trying to beat water out of oil. You know what I'm saying? It's no way to do it.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate y'all taking my call, man.
All right, Mr. Hank, you have a great one here. We got another call. Say again?
Coming up on us, y'all have a good hunting season.
Yes, sir. You too. We got another caller, Mr. Paul, and Mr. David in Pascagoula. What about it, Mr. David?
Hey, Paul. How y'all been doing?
Oh, we're doing great, man.
Yeah. I just want to remind everybody we've moved the Pascagoula show to October instead of November. So October the 7th and 8th is the Pascagoula Gun Show at the fairgrounds down here, and then the Natchez Gun Show will be October the 14th and 15th over at lovely downtown Natchez, Mississippi.
Okay, all right. We're gonna write them dates down and done a little changes. The Pascagoula one is in October this year instead of November. All right. Well, Mr. David, what about those guns? I'm going to be honest with you. If I've been to a gun show, it was years ago. What about those gun shows? What if a man wanted to buy a Sweet 16, Browning Sweet 16? Are they hard to come by at them gun shows like that?
They may be 1 or 2 in the show. They kind of meant to put up this collector item. You don't see too many of them laying on the table for sale.
Right. Well, at least 1 or 2 is better than none. That's hard to believe that, to even have that number, because they've been, Lord knows, they've been collector's items for a lot of years.
A lot of years, they sure have. I got 3. I met 2 of them.
I hear you. Mr. Paul, sounds like Mr. David may have 3 of them, but his wife only knows about 2 of them. So.
Come on now, don't tell everything.
Yeah, I'm throwing him under the bus. Mr. David, appreciate you calling. Y'all stay with us. We're fixing to go to break. Call us in. Tell us about what's going on with you. 1-800-251-5891. And if you're just bored and ain't got nobody to talk to, me and Mr. Paul sitting here, give us a call. Y'all hang with us.
Paul Ott's The Day of the Lord CD-DVD combo set is our free gift to you and your family. The Day of the Lord includes songs like I Am That I Am, Don't Cry for Me, and They Could Not Stop His Love, as well as special sermons by Tom Lester, Dr. Larry LeBlanc, and others. Paul's special holy visits and the printed Don't Cry for Me poster are also included. Get yours by calling 1-800-684-9486 or by letter to New Day of the Lord Ministries Foundation, Box 219, Summit, Mississippi 39666.
Welcome back to Listen to the Eagle. I'm your host, Landon Moore. We're live in Jackson, Mississippi. We got Mr. Paul on the phone with us. Y'all call and wish him a happy birthday. I see Mr. Robert Daly's joined in with us, Mr. Paul on the line. He's going to hang out with us the rest of the night. Always good to have Mr. Robert along. And y'all give us a call. We got a caller calling from Bay Springs, Mr. AJ. We're going to get to him in just a second. But we've got a lot of things going on outdoors right now. Y'all give us a call. Tell us a funny hunting story. Tell us how the food plots is growing and whatever else you want to talk about. We're here and all ears. What about it, Mr. AJ from Bay Springs?
Birthday, Mr. Paul.
Well, thank you, brother. I need that. I've just been glad to be here this long.
Well, I understand. My question is, I have a little small fishing pond, cattle pond, okay? It's maybe about a half acre.
Sure.
It is fairly deep in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking about buying a fish feeder to put up on it. Now, there's brim and bass in it. I realize the bass ain't going to eat the feed, but the bass going to eat the brim.
That's
but
right.
Feeding during the winter time, late fall, winter like that, do I need to do that to keep it up or what?
Well, half acre, and well, how big is it far as you said deep in the middle, but how deep are we talking?
It's about 9 or 10 foot at the dam.
Okay. So fair.
And on the banks, you walk out about 4 foot from the banks, and you'll drop off another 4 or 5 foot from the banks.
Right.
So it's like 8, 9 foot pretty much in a pretty wide swath through the middle of it.
Right. Well, I'm not an expert when it comes to things like that, Mr. AJ. But what I will say, I've been to a couple different where they've had guest speakers talk about pond management and things like that. We had I'm trying to even remember what it was called now, but actually at my aunt's house several years back, they had a family day at her house and pond, and they had guest speakers talking about pond management, things like that. And really and truly, the one of the biggest aspects that gets overlooked more so than anything is the management of the fish. I've heard that time and time and time again. If you're not catching those bass and keeping a decent amount of those fish, it don't matter how much feed you're feeding those brim to get the brim fattened up to feed the bass. It don't matter. They've got to have room, for them to be able to move around and to grow. So with that being said, I assume you're fishing it fairly often and keeping a decent number out.
Well, I ain't gonna say I'm fishing as often as I should be.
Right. Well, that's okay, because that's most folks. Tell you the truth, most folks aren't doing as nearby as what they should be, and then you always got that person. Oh, I don't want to keep too many. You're better off. It's kind of like, and I've had a hard time trying to make people understand this through the years. I've heard this a long time ago, and I've seen it time and time again, but folks think I'm crazy. You're better off planting a food plot with not quite enough seed and fertilizer than you are if you overseed it. Does that make sense? It's choking it out, and it's the same aspect when it comes to fishing in a small pond. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Paul?
Yeah, exactly. We've got them in ours, and the fisheries department told us the same thing. He said, Paul, you need to get those so many of them out of there, you're just going to have a bunch of little ones.
That's right. And especially in the spring of the year when you get them little young yearling bass, they call, them good little whole fryers, that those are the ones that, are getting all the food source. So,
well, that's what the wildlife agency told me I need to catch 5 to 10 pounds a year.
That's right.
I tried to do that.
Right.
And I mean, I've got a few other people, just a few that come up there and fish.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I tell them, I don't care what you do. Just let me know about how many pounds so I know where I need to be from there.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what, it's a great opportunity to get some kids fishing. You got a pond that needs to be fished out some, take some little kids and let them go to town on it. They'll have a great time, be doing you a favor at the same time.
Absolutely. 200 crickets can go a long ways, and I'm gonna tell you, I took my niece fishing one time, and I took my niece and my little brother-in-law, and after about 3 or 4 minutes, I realized there was no point in me even getting my pole out of the truck. So, because I didn't do nothing but take a little brim off and bait hooks the whole time, but it was an absolute blast. Mr. Robert, you'd have enjoyed yourself this past weekend, man. We had a good hog hunt there on our place at the house, and we caught 2. First one about 150 pounds, and the second one was about 100 pounds, and so we had a good time.
Sounds like you did. That would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We've got hogs down at Bucksnort, and I expect we're going to have a lot more before long because they're cutting the timber down there, and we're going to have a lot of cutover.
Right.
And I would imagine we're going to see a lot more deer and hogs down there over the next 2 or 3 years when that cutover comes up real good.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, y'all give us a call. We're fixing to go on break here in about 20 seconds, Mr. Paul. And like I said, it's been a good night so far. We had a few good callers, and but we got time for y'all to call in and let your voice be heard, voice your opinion, ask some questions. 1-800-251-5891 or pound 444 if you cease fire. Y'all be with us. Y'all stay with us. We'll be right back.
Legendary entertainer Paul Ott brings you his greatest hits. Get them all in this special CD-DVD combo set, including Old Blue,
Many and a many of an early morn.
I Am Mississippi,
I am everything good you have ever dreamed about.
Right Arm of America, and many more. To order, visit listentotheeagle.com or send $20 check or money order to Paul Ott's Greatest Hits, Box 219, Summit, Mississippi 39666.
Welcome back to Listen to the Eagle. We are live in Jackson, Mississippi. We're on our final segment tonight. Y'all give us a call and tell us a funny hunting story. Talk about some hunter safety. With everybody getting started in bow season starting this Saturday, which is a day early this year, Mr. Robert, Mr. Paul. Mr. Robert brought it to our attention a while ago. It have all my life that I can remember, bow season opened on October the 1st, but it is not this year. It's opening a day early so we can get a full weekend in, according to what Mr. Robert said. It is opening on the 30th of September this year. And so, which I think is a good thing. He said that Game and Fish will not open a season on a Sunday. Is that right, Mr. Robert?
That's my understanding. Yeah.
That's a good thing. So it'll open on a Saturday, like it has in years prior. Be on the 30th this year. So if you didn't know that, double check it just to make sure that we're not wrong. But I'm pretty positive. I've looked at it a couple different times.
Goodness.
Paul, have you had a good birthday so far?
Yeah, man, all the family came in from Alabama, and we just had a house full here.
That's
It
great.
just beats all of us saying. I've been eating.
You had a
praise. Go ahead, Bob.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you had a son that played in the NFL for a lot of years. I want to know what your opinion is on these people taking a stand, not taking a stand and kneeling during the national anthem.
I can tell you one thing: the Green Bay Packers wouldn't have put up with it, and Powell played for.
I'm telling you, I was sitting there last night, and it was just plumb disgusted at the feeling I had looking at all this, and I saw where Jerry Jones for the Dallas Cowboys said, "If you play for me and my organization, I don't care if you work for me in my organization. I don't care if you're a player, if you're a water boy, a trainer, a coach, whatever you are, you will stand for the national anthem, or you will be fired on the spot."
Good for Jerry Jones.
I'm telling you, that made me want to be a Cowboy fan right there.
Yeah, I guarantee you.
Mr. Paul, I wanted to tell this quick story real quick,
Go ahead,
and I wanted to close the night out a little bit different tonight. I had a guy when I was coming up playing baseball that we got ready to start our season for the first game of the year, and we all gathered around the ball team to say the Lord's Prayer. And this young man did not come up in a church godly home, and he did not know the Lord's Prayer. And he went home, got a Bible, and taught himself the Lord's Prayer. And I wanted to close tonight out by I think that's something that we don't do enough of is pray. And I wanted to, let's teach our youngsters the Lord's Prayer. And I'm going to close it out tonight. We thank all y'all for being with us and listening to it. And thank you for being with us, Mr. Paul, on your birthday. But our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us.
Yeah.
Lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Wonderful.
We love y'all. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be with you again next week. God bless you.